Hello and welcome back everyone to the next episode on SAP Analytics Cloud Training with me Anubhav. In our last episode, we talked about the concept of working with planning model. We talked about some of the planning jargons by understanding a simple P&L statement. And then we talked about how to start with your planning model. We've created a planning model with account dimension. In today's session, we are going to look at our planning scenario for our planning expert. So let's get started. So by far you saw how to create a planning model and how a planning model is different from a traditional ERP model. Especially we have also a time and date dimension which is mandatory. We have a very good version control and also a default hierarchy for accounts. The account would have also the positive, negative and non-financials measures of different kinds. So we have developed by far in our session a planning model. I can just go ahead and quickly show you the model. We have saved the model properly in our organized folders and it was Anubhav Financial Plan Model. Today we will use this planning model to see different scenarios into the business with respect to business planning and financial planning. So once again, I would like to bring your attention back to the specification document for the planning scenario. So let me open the specification document which we started in the last session for Stephanie Meyer, who's a financial expert. And if you just come down, you would see here that we have following scenarios to begin with. So first of all, the first scenario is basics of version management. You see, when it comes to treating and working with financial data of a company, versions of the data are very important. So you have actual, forecast and budget version of the data traditionally, which is the correct data in your system. But now if you want to do some kind of data analysis or if you want to do planning, you would first want to work with the copy of data. You don't want to contaminate the original data. And in these cases, we will utilize the version management feature by Analytics Cloud. So this will help us, a planner, or us as a planner, to basically create a copy of data and perform all the different variety of operations on this copied version of data. Utilizing this copied version of the data, you will be able to perform calculations and aggregations and computations without contaminating the original data. So in this exercise, we will first see a what if scenario. So what's called a what if scenario? Let's understand what is what if scenario. So this is the first scenario of planning, what if scenario. So many time in an organization, planner is asked to calculate different business situation and the impact of that on the numbers. Example, what if I increase labor force by 10%? What is the impact on my production? Yes. What if a new region of business start contributing 10% extra revenue for company? What is the impact on profit? Yes, fair deal, fair scenario. So this kind of scenarios are called what if scenario, where you want to basically check the impact of change on a KPI or an account dimension on another account dimension. So we want to observe the impact of change on one account dimension to another. Yes. Let us go ahead and now see this in action. How can we do the what if scenario? So I'm just going to go back and I will create a new story from today. So let's start with the canvas page, classic design experience, and we will just start with our first what if scenario. So I will add a table and we will choose the model as our planning model. So let's select the planning model. I just got my planning model data over here. So let's call the first page as what if scenario. So my first requirement as per the specification document is I would like to know what if my forecast is revised by a increased 30% revenue. So in my company, I've decided and I'm just thinking that my overall operating income will increase by 30%. Yes, what will be the impact of that on the different regions? So if I need to increase my forecast of the revenue or operating income by 30%, how much contribution has to come? Yes, how much contribution has to come from different entities? The operating income forecast is increased by 30%. I want to observe the impact contribution or the contribution which comes from different entities. Entities means regions. This is my scenario. So this is a perfect use case of what if scenario. So let us go ahead and see this in action. So I'm going to first come back and I will choose a filter on operating income. Yes. And then I will add another dimension called entity dimension, which is our org dimension. I click and you can see we get it here. Now guys, there is a bug in SSE I'm observing. When you're making any change here, it's not changing your table. Yeah, it's not changing immediately. This is I don't know, it's a feature or a bug recently introduced. You see a deleted entity, it's still there. So until you click the table, it's not applying the change. I don't know, maybe because of performance reason they have done this change recently, or is it a bug? But this is what I'm observing constantly since last week. So I click entity and I see it didn't change. Until you click the table, the changes won't be applied. You see now they are applied. Okay, let's expand, drill down to level 4. So you can see we have businesses across US. In US, we have four different segments: Northeast, Southeast, Pacific, and Midwest. Then apart from US, we have business overseas where we have Asia Pacific and EMEA. And now I would like to show forecast data first. So we go to filter version and put forecast. So as of now, from my business point of view, this is my forecast data. Yes. This is, I'm expecting the sales of the company to be here as a forecast. Yes, the near future. Now, what I want is my business says, what if the overall operating income needs to be increased by 30%? If this increase 30%, what proportion impact of that will be there on my US and overseas markets, and of course on EMEA, on Asia Pacific, on other regions of US? How much contribution do I expect there? This is called what if scenario. So first of all, you don't want to contaminate your original forecast data, so we need to create a version of this data for our analysis. So we come to more option. Do not forget to select table first, more option, version management. And now we can create a copy of version. So right now we have actual and forecast. I copy the forecast version and I call it as forecast 30. Yes. And I will say, please copy all the data to recommended planning area. You can copy all data. You can copy the visual data. You can choose the data to copy the scope. Basically, you want to copy only one account dimension or multiple. You can create also a version with the blank data. These are the different options. So we'll choose the one recommended planning area and click OK. So now you will see another version as a duplicate copy has been created. Yes, you can see private version. So any version you create is created as a private version. Private version is basically something which only you can see, only planner can see. Until unless the planning is complete, until unless everything is finalized, you will have it working in a private version. So if you want to share the private version with your manager, you can share read only and read and write only. So this way you can share this private version with a reviewer. So usually let's say I am planning, so I'm a planner and my manager is the reviewer. So I can, once I'm finished with the planning of my private version, I can share this version with the manager or reviewer to review it. Once they review it, finally we will publish. So we will do the publishing over here, this publish option, and this change will then get permanent in the actual forecast. Yes, so till that time you will work with a private copy of the data. You don't contaminate the original data. Once you publish, the changes from here will override the change of your forecast data in the business. Okay, so I just come back to this cell and I say plus 30%. Wow, that's it guys, that's it. This is called data entry. I press enter and you will now see, voila, the impact on each and every market of this increased 30% revenue forecast. Wow, superb guys, superb. Imagine if you have billions of records in some system, you cannot do this with Excel sheet. You cannot do this with Excel sheet. Thank you SAP Analytics Cloud to get this done. Yes, if you have to do the similar thing with Excel, you cannot. So that is our concept of private version and increase forecast by 30%. So this is our first use case where we created a 30% revenue forecast increased and saw the impact of change on the business. You see plus 30% we did, and what's the impact. Next concept is called distribution and spreading. What is distribution and spreading? Sometimes we want to take measure value of an account dimension and distribute the same with a absolute number or percentage number to another account. This is called distribution. Example, I have a workforce of 10,000 people in India, but I want to expand my US business. Or let's say I want to, my company want to comply GDPR and need to shift resources to Europe. So I want to shift my resources to the Europe and comply the GDPR. So I want to know, if I shift 200 resources from India to Europe, what is the impact of the change? Yes. So this kind of scenarios will be very helpful with distribution and spreading. Distribution is just about taking data from one place, subtracting it and adding it another place. Spreading is about taking data from one place and spreading it proportionately to another account dimensions like 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. Yes. So distribution is always equal or absolute number. Spreading is proportion to the children's. Let's see an example. We come back to a specification document and it says that today, as of now, the majority of the revenue contribution, majority of the profit contribution is coming from US. You see, US is 929. So my total revenue, total operating income is 11, and majority of it is coming from US. So my company says you are expecting too much from US market. We need to do diversification. So I would want now, my manager want is to bring down the US operating income by 200 million. Yes, bring down, and that should then has to contribute or come from here. So still my total number should remain same, but we should take away the 929, reduce it by 200 million, and give that target for the forecast to the overseas. And I want to then see the impact of change on their children's correspondingly. So this is what is called distribution scenario. Now I'm just click here, right click, and you see distribute value. So the moment you do this, system will propose you different options to choose. Distribute entity member of same level. Same level means overseas and US in a hierarchy, they are same level. You see they're in a hierarchy in a same level. So distribute to the same level, distribute to the one level below, or redistribute among the entity member. Yes. So I will just go and choose the first option, distribute at the same level. And I say, please go ahead and remove 200 millions. So 200 million. So guys, this data is scaled up to million. You can see already million in USD here. So this is scaled up. So you have to put 200 million, and then you can press enter, and you can say apply. So you can see from 929 it becomes 729, and from 185 it becomes 385, and it automatically adapted how much you can expect from Asia and EMEA in the system. So this is the beauty of distribution. Yes. Then comes is spreading. So let's see the next scenario, spreading. I want to spread my revenue forecast or my operating income forecast in these proportions to the different regions of USA. So first region, north southeast should get me 20%, northeast get me 20%, midwest get me 25, and Pacific should get me 35. So come to US again, and again right click and do distribute cell. So distribute, and I click this option to distribute one level below, and here we can just put input weight equality proportionately, or input value. So input value is direct absolute value, weight is just keep percentage, equally means just make all 25 25 25 25, and because there are four, so 100 divided by number of childs. Yes. And finally we have proportionately, in what proportion you want. So we will choose input weight, and as per the specification we have 20 20 25 35, 20 20 25 and 35. Yes. So this is the proportion I want. This is how we want to our spread our value across. So this concept is called spreading. So spreading is nothing but is a distribution only, but it is done at the children's of a node. You can see the system is proposing what will be the new values. If you are happy, you can apply the change. So let's apply the change, and you can see the values have been changed over here just at the below. Yes. Now for by any chance, let's say your company decides that perhaps the last change which we did is not okay. Yes, last change which we did is not okay. You can go back to more, and you can just go to version management, and you can just open your forecast 30 version and its revisions. Yes. So you can click. Yes. So this is the version you have. One second. So we can somehow go back to the version management, and we will be able to roll back the last changes which we did. And that is basically called version history. So let me just check, where can I find version history? Yes, here it is, history. I click on history, and now you see whatever changes I did till now on this version. So we first created a version, then we did a distribution, then we did another distribution, and then we did a spreading. So I don't like the last change. I can go back to the previous date. So I click on that, and you can see it changed back to 729. So now once again I want to do distribution. So my goal was to not increase by 20, 20, 25, 35. My goal was to distribute this 729 across all. So this is what I will show. Now right click again to the one level below, and instead of append we say overwrite. So please overwrite based on this weight. So all the children should get the values distributed with overwrite, not append. Last time I did append. So this 729 should not change, rather it should get distributed across the children's. Last time when we did append, it basically take another 729 and added more 729 across all. We should do overwrite in this case. So let's come back 20, 20, 25, 20, 20, 25, and 35. Yes. And I click on apply. So you see the number remains 729, but you see now 20%, 20% is 25, and 35%. It has done the accordingly. It has done the spreading of my day values. So this is called my next scenario, working with spreading and distribution. Let's come back to the next one. Increase the operating income, overall operating income by 8 more percent, but do not touch US. Okay, so now the business says that okay, I want further increment in my operating income by let's say 3%, but I don't want that change, that 3% increment in operating income to impact my America market or America business. So I can come back, right click on America, and I can just lock the cell. Lock the cell means do not allow or do not make any changes to this data. Yes, do not allow any changes to be made on this data. So I can lock now. You see it got locked, and now you can go back and make a change at the enterprise level, just the way a few minutes ago we did. But this time when you make a change, like last time we did plus 30%, it has impacted everyone. But now if I increment it by plus 3%, perhaps what will happen is it will not impact US, but it will only impact the corresponding change to the overseas market. So let's come back plus 3%. Enter. You can see it remains unchanged for US because we had logged the cell earlier. So the changes which you did on the overall hierarchy have only the impact of the change on the overseas market, not on other markets. So you can unlock the cell back again by clicking the same option. Fantastic. So this is how exactly we can work with the data entry. All these are a data entry example, direct data entry examples. So in general, people call it as what if scenarios in functional meaning, but for us, these are data entry scenarios as a planner. So when you say, when somebody asks you what you know in planning, you can say I know distribution, spreading, and also how to do data entry into the into the analytics cloud with planning scenario. So this is what you can say. Now moving on, when you do the data entry, guys, in the data set, there is something called data entry mode. This is very important. So this is a 100% interview question. What are all the different data entry modes SAP Analytics Cloud have? So there are three data entry modes: single data entry mode, fluid data entry mode, and mass data entry mode. Single data entry mode. Single data entry mode means the changes which you do will be applied to the table immediately, will be calculating everything immediately. Default is single data entry mode. So you see the moment I'm making the changes here, like plus 10%, plus 30%, 5%, whatever I'm doing, it is immediately changing the data on the screen. Then we have fluid data entry mode. In the fluid data entry mode, if the user makes the changes fast, very fast at the same time, yeah, data entry in a fast sequence, the changes will not be applied immediately, but system will wait for a couple of seconds, and once system see that user has stopped the data entry, then it will apply all the calculations. I will show you, don't worry. The third is called mass data entry mode, in which none of the calculations are applied immediately. rather they are applied once user decides. So let me show you. So single data entry mode, now you all have seen the moment I'm changing something, it's immediately affecting. But let me show you the next one, which is mass data entry mode. Yes, I go to mass data entry mode, and now let me select the table and I will make a change. So let's say I want to decrease my Asia Pacific operating income by 3%. So minus 3%. I want to decrease for EMEA also minus 2%. So minus 2%. So you see now whatever changes I'm doing, they are not immediately calculating the parent values. You see it is still 1147. So let's also decrease by 1% in Northeast, minus 1%. Yes, minus 1%. And let's Midwest in decrease by 5%. So this is what I'm expecting as a forecast for coming months. None of the changes which we did impacts the parent value till now, because we are in a mass data entry mode. So we are just entering, and now you have this button right on the top called process data. The moment you click, that's when the calculation will get carried out. Now in which case you should use mass data entry mode when you think that user will do mass data entry. Yeah, your user will go and will typically change many values into your analytics cloud at time. In that case you should enable mass data entry mode for user, because you don't want calculations to happen, because when calculation happens they take a lot of time. So if you're dealing with massive data, massive planning data, let's say billions of records needs to be recalculated because of a change, it's going to impact your performance if you do for every small change. So rather than, you can enable mass data entry, let the user, let the planner do all the changes all at once. And once they accept the change, that's when the calculation will perform. So I did many changes, and if I say process, only then you see now the calculation have been carried out and they are being done. So this is called mass data entry mode. Now the last one is called fluid data entry mode. So in the fluid data entry mode, basically the changes will happen depending on the speed with which you work with keyboard. So let me just go back. It's a fluid data entry mode. So now I'm just going to decrease by 1%, 1%, 2, 2, 2, like that. Okay. So let's do that fast. So plus 1%. Next, I just come down, plus 1%. Next, I come down, plus 3%. Yes. Next, I come down, plus 3%, minus 5%. Yes. So you can see, okay, I'm not using my keyboard. I'm so sorry. Let me just show you once again. I go back to version management, go to open history. I'll roll back the change. So I'll just go back to the position where we did master data entry, and let me go to the view mode. So now I'm in the fluid data entry mode. Okay, fluid data entry mode. So plus 1%. Why my keyboard is not working? So what happens is the changes will be applied after I stop data entry. You see. So after I stop, so I enter fast, and once I stop the data entry, that's when the changes are getting carried out on the system. Now the best way to learn these features is, if you are still confused and want to see more examples, you can always go back, select, let's say, go back to edit mode, and now we just go back here, designer, and when you come down, you will see here data entry mode. You can click this help documentation. Yes, like this you can see. So you can also go back to the help like I showed you in the last class. You can go to videos or help and then search fluid data entry. Search. You can see entering values in the table, and you can see different options of data entry mode. Yes. So a lot of these options are there where you can learn about data entry modes. So this is the additional documentation which you can use to read more about data entry modes. Okay, so now we learned a what if scenario and data entry mode in SSE. Next concept is we want to add a variance chart where we want to examine and compare the value of our Asia Pacific, EMEA, and US operating incomes. So we can do that very easily. We can just come back and select these cells. So I want to compare my forecast versus forecast 30 by comparing these Asia Pacific, EMEA, and US region. So just select that, and now you have this button called examine button on the top. Just click on that. It will do an examine, and you see it has already done a comparison now between the Asia Pacific, EMEA, and US across forecast 13 forecast. So if I like this chart, I can just come here to say copy, and I will copy to my what if page. Let's click on that. It's been copied, and now I can click examine button again to hide this panel which has appeared because my chart is now copied. You can now go back to designer and do a little bit of beautification for the chart. So let's make it as vertical, and we can come back down to choose pattern as, let's say, the chest pattern, and I will say color is blue, and for the other one I will choose the color as yellow. Nice. You can add additional versions if you want, like let's say I want to add actual version also, you can do that over here in the settings. So this is how we have added a comparison between our calculation in default currency between forecast and forecast 30 using the examine option. Yes. Okay. Next, we have also seen how to apply, and let's also add a variance to this chart. So let's come back, compare to, and we can directly add a variance over here between forecast and forecast 30. That's a proposal, or we can customize the variance using variance panel. This concept of variance was taught to you in the last episode. If you have forgotten this concept, please go back and check the video of the last class. I come back and say forecast versus forecast 30, and you see a variance has been added over here just above the chart, which shows the difference between forecast and forecast 30. If you want to edit the variance, you just come down on the designer panel on the right side, go for change, and now you can also flip forecast 30 versus forecast. You can see the change. You can see additional display option, also show percentage. So now it shows percentage also. Perfect. So this is how we can add a additional variance. Let's also go back and add a smart insight. So you can see for planning, we are unable to add a smart insight for this particular chart. That option is grayed out. Okay, no problem. So that is how we can see now our what if simulation, how to do what if scenario into business. Let's save our story first because it's a cloud system running in the browser. If I have something gone wrong to my internet connection, I will have issues. So I'll go to SSC training, stories, and I can say planning, story, end-to-end scenario. Click on OK. My story is now saved. So let's move on to the next scenario. Okay. Now we want to add a new product for planning. So just think about a use case in your company. So this is called update scenario. What is an update scenario? So whenever there is a critical update in the business, example, new unit is open, new plant was inaugurated, yes, new product was introduced in business. We want to observe the impact of same on business. These scenarios are called update scenario. So what's our use case? So as you know that our training data is a data of a retail store, and this retail store is selling products like athletic shirts, athletic shorts, shoes, apparels, and footwears. So what my business say that we want to introduce now a new product called ball cap. Okay, so my company wants to introduce a new product called ball cap. It's a completely new product in my business. Yes, this is what we want to produce, and I would like to check the change of the impact of this new product, yes, on the quarter 2 2020 sales. So we want to check the change of my gross sales on quarter 2 of 2020. So this product is planned to be introduced on quarter 2 2020, and my company wants to know what will be the impact of this new product on my business in quarter 2 2020, provided the sales of this new product will be as per the sales of athletic shirts. So this ball cap will be sold along with athletic shirt product. I want to see the impact of the change on Q2 2020. So let's first create a simple report to show first the existing product impact on sales of Q2 2020. So I'm just going to go back to the SAC, and I will just add a new canvas, add a table. Let's call this guy as update scenario, and just going to expand. So let's go back to filter and search here gross sales. This here account dimension for gross sales, and then we will choose here all the products. So let's choose products as a row, and now you see gross sales for each product. Let's expand, drill down to level 4, and you see athletic shirt, athletic shorts, caps, tennis shoes, and running shoes. These are the total products my company has. I want to see uh, now a version for that on a different dates. So the data for this on different dates. So let's put our date dimension. Yes. And now you will see date dimension. Let's expand the hierarchy and apply a date filter. So let's apply a filter on the date. So time by member, and only impact on Q2 2020. So Q2 I select, click OK, and I expand the hierarchy to level 4. So in the Q2, you have April, May, and June for 2020. This is my data I have in my Q2. For each product, I know now the sales in the quarter 2. Yes, for each product we know. So in this quarter now, company is planning to introduce a brand new product, which is called ball cap. The ball cap will follow the sales of athletic shirts. So you see athletic shirts, whatever sales is there, the same I want to follow for ball cap. So we want to know the impact on the overall sales of apparel and all products if we introduce this new product. What will happen? So this kind of scenarios are called update scenarios in SSE. But you see right now there is no ball cap in the system. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will come back, copy this URL, go to another tab, the trick I taught you in the last class, and now we go back to the model, the planning model which we created, and now inside the planning model we have something called product. We click, And you see we have the products, existing products today. I will now introduce a new product called PRD0007 manually. Let's call it as ball cap, and it goes under the hierarchy of caps and apparel. Perfect. So this is what is the newly introduced product. I will save. So do we have any sales data for this newly introduced product right now in our data set, which we uploaded in the last class? What do you think? Do we have test data or do we have forecast or actual data for this newly product in our data set? No, we don't have any data because it's a completely new product which company is introducing recently. Yes, we don't have any past experience. We don't have any data of this on our business at the moment. So now I go back, and what I do first of all, once again, I will create a version. So let me create a new version. So go to version management, and I will copy the actual version to, let's say, actual new product. So I'm introducing new product. I want to see the impact of that on actuals. Click OK. So a new version will be added called actuals, and we can just go and filter on actuals only. So let's filter on version. Somehow it not create the version. Something is wrong. Let me try again. Copy. Let's call it as update. Yes. And I say okay. Yes. Actually it has added, but it was not reflecting. Let me delete the one, this one. Just keep only one. So actual underscore update is the new version. I click on close. I go back now, and in the version now I do a filter, and I will also only show actual update. Click OK. So you will now see for actual update, this is the sales. But you see guys, we don't have data for sales data for ball cap at the moment, because ball cap is a completely newly introduced product just now. Just now we introduced this new product in our company. So if you not have data for a particular dimension in analytics cloud during planning, the analytics cloud reporting will not display that dimension by default. Okay, by by default, like in this case, the newly added dimension value was ball cap. So analytics cloud doesn't find data for that, so it's not showing that data. So in analytics cloud, what you have to do is go back, and you have to click the dimension, more options, and choose show unbooked data also. This is a very critical change. Yes, or very critical feature which you need to understand. So sometime you can complain, Anubhav, I don't see data for this quarter. Maybe there is no data for that quarter, or still if you want to see the data, you have to go to more option for the dimension and choose show unbooked data. This is a very important feature. I click, and you will see now the ball cap will appear even though it not have any data. Voila, you can see ball cap is now appearing. So we don't have any sales data at the moment for ball cap. So what we just saw is a very important rule or feature in SSE. So by default, during reporting or planning, SSE will not display the dimension values for our dimension if there is no measure values present. Example, in this case, we had no sales data present for ball cap for the newly introduced product. We can still force system to show the dimension value by choosing more options, show unbooked data or unbooked data. Yeah, it's an important feature. So now we have it. So what I said initially, that the ball cap sales will follow the same pattern as athletic shirts. So what you do is you go to athletic shirts for Q2 2020. You can now right click and you can say copy. So we have copy feature. So let me just click more and I will go to, okay, I have it here only. It's not inside more here. Copy, copy, and you come back to ball cap, come back and say paste. Done. So you see it's following the same sales, and now you see the total apparel sales has increased to 691. All product sales is now 1084. The moment new product was introduced which follows the same sales pattern as athletic shirt, this is the impact of that update on your data. Wow, superb, superb. Now next we will do a bit of what if scenario. So let me go to the fluid data entry mode. So I'm just going to go back down and I'll switch to fluid data entry mode, and I'll say I'll increase by 1%, 2%, 3% for April, May and June. So let's say come here plus 1%. Yes, plus 1%, and then I can just go and do plus 2%, plus 3%, and enter. After I press enter, you see the change now on the overall ball cap sales, and the change was computed for all three of them. Yes, so you can choose any data entry mode of your choice. You can switch anytime. Now, the next thing which I want to do, let's go back. I want to find out what is the if I increase the overall ball cap sales by 20%, but in not in this change should not impact the month of June, then I can lock the June and I can increase overall sales by 20%. So let's come back, right click, lock this field. Yes, I locked it June month, and I now come back and increase overall ball cap sales by 20%. Enter. It will only change the month of April and May. You can see the impact of change. The June month is locked. So this is also another feature which we just saw. Now, next I want to create a threshold. So if any ball cap sales is between let's say 2 to 5, it is red. Between 5 to 8, it is orange, and above 8 it is green. So we can add a threshold now. So let's go ahead and add a threshold. So we can go to more, and like we learned the threshold in the last class, conditional formatting, and we can add a threshold for the gross sales measure. So let's come back and search here gross sales measure. There are two. I think you have to choose first one, and now we will just put here gross sales, three ranges. If it is above 8 million, so 8 million. If it is above 5 million but below 8 million, and if it is below 5 million. Yes, so this is our range of sales where we will show different color coding. So this is my conditional formatting. I click on apply, done, and now you come back to the builder panel, to the table, and for the product now you can show the threshold. So you can come back for the measure, account measure, and you can say threshold, view threshold, show thresholds, and you will see yes, it is showing now threshold everywhere. Wherever the sales is below 5, it's showing red. If it is up between 5 and between 5 and 8, it's showing orange, and if it is above 8, it's showing green. But let's say my business say I don't want to see that for all products for all time. I want to see it only for ball caps. No problem. You can come back again to your conditional formatting, go to edit, and this time you can add a filter also. So let's add a filter, and I say, please apply this change, this threshold only for my product, which is ball cap. Yes, because my business wants to see this threshold only for ball cap. Click OK, click apply, and click done. You have to go back to account again and say show threshold again. And now you see the change is only displayed based on what filter criteria you've specified in the conditional formatting. So within the conditional formatting, you can additionally give a filter to highlight and showcase business the impact. And now you can probably highlight this by going to your styling panel and just change the font and different things, because this is the newly introduced product in the company. Yes, perfect. So this is the newly introduced product. Let's also change the other styling for the table. So you can change all the styling the way you want. We can also come and make it report styling. Okay. So this is how you can see now your table would look like in the system with their total displayed at the bottom. So you see the totals are now displayed at the bottom for the products, apparel and footwear. This is called report styling option. So now you can see the impact of these changes directly on the UI. So this is called our update scenario with conditional formatting. So let's take a quick break for 5 minutes over here, and then we will talk about building asymmetric reports. We will talk about applying currency conversion. We will also discuss about building forecast report, the old forecast report and the new forecast report in planning. So I will be back in 5 minutes. Okay, everyone, please come back after the break. So any questions till now? Please feel free to ask if you have any questions till now. Okay, so let's move on then to the next scenario. And in the next scenario, I would like to show you creating a currency conversion. So let me create another canvas page or a grid page. And in this, I would like to demonstrate you how to apply the currency conversion. So someone asked me, Anubhav, what is cross calculation in the last class? So today is the right time when you get the information about what is cross calculation. Cross calculation can be used to do for the multiple things in planning. You can calculate forecast, you can create asymmetric reports, you can also do currency conversion. So I will show you three different use cases of adding cross calculation into planning scenario. So let's first learn about currency conversion. So I would like to show you how to add currency conversion. So let's add a table. Once again, choose planning model. And I would like to show our business a total gross profit. So let's go and add first the filter on account dimension for gross profit. So we come back, you can see gross profit. I want to show gross profit for each entity. So let's choose entity. And then we will just expand everything, drill down to level 4. So you can see now over here on the system, we have got Asia Pacific, EMEA, and other four US states. So this is the current actual values in US dollar, because you remember in the last class when we created our planning model, we have done a default currency US dollar for our planning model, and all the values are getting converted into US dollar. So these are all the converted values. If you look at basically the business in Asia Pacific is mainly happening is Chinese yuan, and the business in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Asia is happening in euros. Yes. So I don't want to see the converted value. Rather, I want to see the original values in the different currencies. And then I will want to do also a currency conversion demonstrated. So what you do is now you go back, come down, and you will first add a something called cross calculation. Click on that. It's been added. And the next thing now you can see is a default currency for actual data. What you do is now click on the filter for cross calculation and you see entity CUR. Remember, this is our dimension for representing entity currency. I click on that and I say OK. So now when you go back and check the report, you can see the value of Asia Pacific in your entity currency is in Chinese yuan, and for EMEA it is in euros. You can see here. Wow. And for US it is in anyway in dollars. So this is the actual value of our data set in their respective currencies, which got eventually converted to euros. So you can also make it out actually by just doing conversion. So 1321.75 divided by 1.07. So what is the current rate going exchange rate going on for yuan? You can just divide and check accordingly how much this value comes into the dollar. Maybe if I just go back and check on Google. So Chinese CNY to USD. So this is the rate, and if I just put here the same value 1321.75, you can see it comes around 195. So this is actually in millions. Yeah, this is in millions. So if you just come to millions, you can see 195.46 million is what it will come actually. Yes. So this is what the current, maybe the rates are different in our data set. So it is coming to be 212. Right now the fluctuation is very high in currencies. The yuan is depreciated against the dollar. Dollar is appreciating against all the currencies. So this is basically the old rate which we have used. So based on that, this is what the currency converted amount was. Now, this proves that Analytics Cloud is doing all the foreign currency conversion to US dollar according to the rates which we maintain. Now, my business says I want to see the gross profit data for each entity in Canadian dollar. So in this case, we need to apply explicit currency conversion. To do that, once again, you go to cross calculation. So this was a question from the last class. What is cross calculation? So today you see the use case. I click on more option and I can say add new cross calculation, and I want to do a currency conversion. So you can see there are a lot of different things you can do in cross calculation when it comes to planning. So we want to do currency conversion, and now I will want to convert everything to Canadian dollar. Yes. And I will say amount in CAD. Perfect. I click on OK, and you can see it gives me an error. So you can see there is an error coming. Currency conversion failed. Please provide the missing rates. So as you all know that we probably are missing the rates to convert to CAD. So let me no problem go back to our planning model to modeler, and we have currency rates which we maintained in the last class over here. And now here we can see the error. So by click this button, I button, you can now say my model name. My currency is Canadian dollar. Yes. I press enter and I say search. So you can see these are the three rates which are currently missing in the system. Because of that, my currency conversion has failed. So let me now maintain these three rates. So we will go and search USD to CAD. It is 1.29. What is Euro to CAD? It is 1.32. What is CNY to CAD? It is 0.19. Yes. I save the rates and now switch over back to our dashboard and refresh the UI. Voila, you can see everything got converted to Canadian dollar now, all the values. So this is how you can utilize the cross calculation feature in Analytics Cloud to perform currency conversion in planning. I hope everybody understood the concept which you asked in the last class. Today was the right time. So I gave you the right explanation for the topic. This is one use case. The second use case is we can also use cross calculation to create asymmetric report. What is asymmetric report? Asymmetric report is all about comparing two different two different measures of same account dimension based on, let's say, a filter criteria. So in my company the requirement now is to compare how much was the sales forecast in Q2 2020 and how much was the actual sales in Q2 2020. Only Q2 2020 is my scope for comparison. This kind of reports are called asymmetric report. So let us go ahead and add a asymmetric report which compares the difference between your actual and your forecast gross sales of Q2 2020. I'm going to come back and create another page. Let me add a canvas page again. I will add a table. We will call it as asymmetric report. So first of all, I will go and filter my account dimension to gross sales. And then I will add here our comparison. We want to compare it for each entity or product. Let's go back to the spec, what the spec says. For each product, we want to compare. So let's add product as row and we will expand the product hierarchy. Now, currently you see the data for only actuals. So I want to add a cross calculation to show Q2 2020 gross sales for each product. So I will come down to columns and add a new cross calculation. And we will just go to the table first, click table, come back, and now we will add a new cross calculation. We want to add a restricted measure for US dollar currency where the time is equals to, maybe I will add a member or range. I will add a fixed range where user can choose up to quarter, which quarter they want to see. Yes. So only 2020 we will consider Q1 to Q4. So let user decide. I don't want it to be also hard coded. Yes. So I will add this range and I will say sales, gross sales Q2 or 2020 actuals. So this is my actual gross sales depending on the filter what user will choose. Yes. So I click on OK. System add the gross sales for 2020 and perhaps system should have also added a range filter. I don't see that. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to the cross calculation and edit. So we can edit our cross calculation formula. We will just put here exactly Q2 2020. So we will select member, exact member for time, Q2 2020. So this is my gross sales actual Q2 2020. Click OK. So now you see only the Q2 2020 sales. I want to compare with the gross sales of Q2 forecast 2020. So let's go back and now do that. So first important thing guys, if you want to do cross calculation which is between the versions, you have to delete this version dimension from here from the columns. Yes. Or you have to come down below and clear this version filter at least. So we clear the version filter and now we will add one more cross calculation. So let's go back and add one more cross calculation. And this time once again restricted measure on my default currency US dollar with the time as a member Q2 2020 but version as forecast version. So we will say forecast Q2 2020. You can see now we have got the multiple versions actually because we cleared the filter. So here in this we will just keep or we'll remove the version also. We just keep the cross calculations. So now we will have forecast Q2 2020 and we will also have a oops, it has removed the cross calculation for actual Q2 2020. Let me add it again. I don't know why it removed. Ideally it should not remove, but it removed actually. So actual Q2 2020. It's there in the drop down, which means it's just a filtering problem. Yes. So you see here we have gross sales Q2 2020 also, but it's not selectable. Why? There is something wrong. Let me save the story first and refresh the page. Do we still need to keep version? Let me just check. No, we don't need to keep version, I think. It should, yes. So we have to still keep the version, remove the filter of the version, but keep the version. And now you can go to filter. You can see gross sales actual Q2 2020 and forecast Q2 2020. Both you can see. This is called asymmetric report. So now we have got here the gross sales actual Q2 2020 and the forecast also Q2 2020. Now I just want to keep only two measures, these two, yes, which are my Q2 2020. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and compare. Okay, I want to go ahead and compare these two things between the sales which is forecast Q2 2020 versus my actual Q2 2020. So what I will do is I will just once again select our products for forecast Q2 2020 and actual Q2 2020 and once again choose examine, and you see here it is doing a comparison between each product. Let's copy this on the asymmetric report, remove the examine option and just change the chart settings. So for each product now we are comparing the gross sales Q2 2020 for actual and forecast Q2 2020 values. Yes, we can also find a difference. So select both of them, both the columns. So actual Q2 2020 and the forecast Q2 2020. Right click and add a new calculation to subtract. So system will add another calculated column, which is the difference column. You can see the difference column. The value is almost 0. Why? I think it's here. No, it did not do, guys. Something is wrong. Let me refresh the page. Go back to asymmetric report, go to designer, select the table. Yes. So here you can see now the difference between the forecast Q2 2020 and actual Q2 2020 in a in-cell chart as well. Fantastic. So this kind of report is called asymmetric report in SAP Analytics Cloud, which we can use to display our data of two different cross calculations. So you see we have subtract and we have forecast Q2 2020. Two different values can be displayed to the user accordingly. Yes. So that is how we can calculate cross calculations in SAP Analytics Cloud and have a asymmetric report. The third type of cross calculation which we can do is called a forecast report. So what is a forecast report in SSC? So let's first understand the forecast report in business. As I told you that in the past, what is forecast? Forecast will tell you the direction. Is the company headed in the right direction? So see, till now, my sales were following this pattern. This is my actual data. And then what I expect in the near future is my forecast data. Now, right now, I plotted this in a chart. But what if I want to plot exact same thing in a report, in a table? So what typically a forecast report will have, it will give us the guidance on account dimension and their values by bringing actual data and forecast data together. This data will be split based on a critical timeline called cutover date. Now, what is cutover date? So I want to know in my business how's the trajectory. So what is the sales? Let's say right now we are in the month of August. So what was the sales till July? And then what was the forecast starting August? So this will give your company a good direction. Let me take an example. So I go back to pen and I choose the pen. Now say I have a sales data and my company wants to know, write a report, are we on track or not? So we have, let's say, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, for example, like this. So till now, we are here. Today, cutover is here. Today's date. Yes, we are at the end of, sorry, we are at the end of July. So this is my cutover. Yes, this is my cutover. So I want to know basically what is the actual sales till July. So let's say sales is 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, and 25. Now, what was the forecast? My forecast was 60, 80, 100. So here I have the forecast data and here I have the actual data. So I want to build a report which shows both actual and forecast data, and the split between them is called cut over date. So till cut over date, system should show me the actuals data. Right after the cut over date, system should show me the forecast data automatically. How can you build this kind of a report? Yes, this report is called forecast. This kind of report gives direction to the business. Are we headed in the right direction? So it clearly shows that we are not headed in the right direction because we have a gross sales increasing just by 2 or 3 basis point, but we expect in the month of August sales to be 60, which is hard to achieve based on the pattern what I look at before data of this year. Yes, so this gives a good direction and health of the business to the business. Yes, so let's go back and create a asymmetric create a forecast report. There are two ways in Analytics Cloud you can create forecast report. So first is the old technique using cross calculation. So let me show you the old technique first. I click on table. So I'll just rename it as forecast report, old style. We go back again to specification, come down. So you have to choose account dimension, operating income. So let's filter operating income. Then you have to add cross calculation, forecast calculation. Let me also add for each entity. I want to show for each entity. So I'll add entity as a column, expand. So this is my actuals data. So right now I am seeing only actuals data, but I want to build a report which should automatically expand all the quarters and should tell me in quarter one, quarter two, or let's say in each month, January, February, month, March, April, May, till mid of June, till mid of 2020, which is June end. June end is the mid of 2020. I want to print the actuals data, and after the month of June, starting July, I want to show forecast data. That is what I want to do. Let us go ahead and see this in action. How can we achieve? So to achieve this, we will go back and add a cross calculation, and we go inside. First, we have to select. So there's a bug in SSE, guys. Every time you have to select the table to add cross calculation. So now I add a cross calculation, and here we will choose something called forecast report. Wow. Let's add a version. So I'll say I want to select forecast version starting mid of the year, or I want to also customize this. So I will not hard code. I will create a input control. So this is called choose your version of data, and I will choose values as forecast and forecast 30. So user can choose anything they want. So this will create now a control only in USD, and granularity I want to see monthly granularity. And this is my cutover date, a specific date, after which date, month or year or quarter I want to see the forecast data. So I can say current date, but currently we are in 2022. We don't have data for 2022. So I'll choose specific date, and I will mark it also as a control. Let user decide. And we can just say select date, and we can just create it as a range, and I can say fix range between 2019 to 2020 year. I want to go monthly granularity. Let user choose anything they want, and maybe we will just choose 2020. That's enough, and say okay, and click OK. So that is also dynamic. So I will say forecast. Let's click on OK. And now you see, wow, look at that. So January, February, March, April 2020, it's showing all the forecast data. But the good news is we've got two controls where we can customize, and we can say from where onwards we want to see the forecast data and actuals data. So now I come back. So I come back and choose here which version you want to see. And I have also date filter. This is our forecast report. So what is my cutover date? I want to see till June. Till June 2020, show me the actuals data. After June, show me the trajectory. I click, and you see, yes. So you see, January, February, March, April, and May. These 5 months, it's showing the actuals data. This is your actuals data. It will not change, guys. If I change here this filter, it will not change this data because this is actuals data. Yes. And after the fifth month, it is showing forecast data. I don't want to see forecast data. I want to see forecast 30 data after the cutover. So my cutover here is the June. So I say forecast 30. Remember, these values will not change in the report now, not at all change. So I click and you see it reload, and you see now it's showing the forecast 30 data. Yes. So this is the report which shows that for Asia Pacific it was this, and I'm expecting suddenly this in the month of June. And you can clearly make out we are not going to meet up our forecast. We are not on the right track because the sales is increasing very slowly, but we are expecting our forecast 30 is this much. Yes. So you can change cutover date whenever you want, whatever you want, and you can see accordingly the report will dynamically change. You see now the report has changed dynamically. So whichever month you select, it will show till that month the actuals data, and from there onwards you see these colors will also indicate what data it is. So any dark color is actuals data, any dashed lines is the forecast data. That is what the report is doing. I will click on save. Let me add another one, new canvas, rename, forecast report. So this is the old technique. Now I'll show the new technique. So in the new technique, SAP provided a direct feature to create a forecast report because it's very interesting and important for customers. So I click on table. Once again, we will choose operating income and we will add entity. Let's add entity. Click the table, right click and drill down. You can see and actuals. Now I come to the table and you see this button and you see forecast layout. Wow. So exact same data now once again you can show here. Let me first add a time filter for 2020. So I can come add a filter for time, only 2020. And now I can just come back and add here a forecast layout. Click on that. It says changing the table type will clear filter, sorting and dimension, and measure input control, styling and more. Do you want to proceed? Okay, no problem. And now you see it shows look back on what you want to look back before the cutover date. I say actuals. Look ahead. What you want to look ahead? I will say create an input control. I will decide, select version, what I want to look ahead. And this I will again create a control with actual and forecast 30 and forecast. I can choose what I want to show, look ahead. What is the cutover date? You see, so before cutover date it will show actuals data, and after cutover date it will show the data of the version which you choose in the drop down. I want to also control the cutover date with the input control. Select your month as cutover. Yes. So we will come and choose value and we will choose a range. Fix range monthly for 2020. Same thing guys, exact same thing we are doing. Granularity is I want monthly for my report and say apply. Watch out guys. Exact same result, exact same thing. No difference. It's just two different techniques to do the same thing by SAP. So one is here. Second I come, put this here. Okay. Now I just come back and put it here July again. And you see it's till the month of June. It is showing the actuals data to me on the UI. And after the month of June, it is showing forecast 30. You can change it. And you see now it's showing forecast data after the month of July. One more thing we can do, we can just come to the table, builder panel, go to entity, go to filter, sorry, go to more option and say hierarchy, show only the leaves in the widget. Don't show the hierarchy. So now we'll only see the Asia Pacific, EMEA and all the four regions of the USA. So this is my This is called my forecast report. Very important in planning. Many time managers will ask you to develop forecast reports. You can do it quickly with the new layout, forecast layout tab. So this is the next feature in the planning, how to build a forecast report, which is a very common requirement in a real business. Okay, I would like to also apply now the machine learning feature. So let's go ahead and see. So till today in our model, we have the data till 2020. I want to predict my gross sales for year 2021 for further quarters. So we can apply machine learning also on the planning. So let me go ahead and add another canvas page table, and we will show here the data for different dates. So let me just go and add a column as a date or row as a date. And I want to show my gross sales. I will remove the account dimension from display. Remember, when you remove it, still it remains here in the filter. You see the filter will remain as it is. It just displays the column from the screen. And now we will expand all the data for the time. So we have the data up to where? We have the data up to quarter two of 2020. Yes. I don't have further data at the moment in the system. So, but I want to do a kind of machine learning to calculate what is going to be my expected gross sales in coming future. Yes, that's what I want to know. So let's go back and say I want to do a auto forecast. So I have just the data till actual data till Q2 2020, but I want to apply machine learning in SSC on my planning data to find out what would be the sales up to quarter two of 2021. So for that, let's go back first to our model, because we don't have data till 2021 in the model doesn't support. So we go back to the model and we will ask the model that, hey model, can you please support data till 2021? So we come back here to the model preference, and we can go to the date settings, and we can enable the fiscal year, or let me just check. I think there is a setting to change data up to more dates. Yes, let's go and check. So we should have an option to change the time up to what date we should have the planning data. Just go back and check this. Up to what date we want to do planning. That is the setting I want to check. I think it's here only. So somewhere we should have a setting that we want to extend our planning for certain dates. Just check. We should have some setting here where we can say we want to plan up to 2021. The date range basically we can change. Data locking, validation rule, date setting, period number. There is certainly a setting, guys, where we can change the date range for our planning. I'm just checking that. Okay, let's go to the spec. Come down. So it's here called under the planning time, planning and time range. That option I think is disabled now. We don't have that setting. Let me just check. Data management. So I think they've decommissioned that setting. Let me still check it, guys, if I can find planning and time range. Date dimension using planning, data locking validation room. Okay, this setting has been decommissioned by SAP. You can see this setting is no more available. We don't see that, we can add more data. So I think we can directly add the time, go to the time dimension, and we have the time here. So we can go to the grid and we can ourselves add more data for further years. Yes. So can I change it? I cannot. Okay, I'm not allowed to change anymore. This setting has been decommissioned by SAP. Anyway, we can see that at least we have data in our data set till 2020 quarter 2. But what about quarter 3 and quarter 4? We don't have. So that's why the data is not displaying. So first I go back and I say, show me the unbooked data for the next quarters, because I know the data is not there, but please show me the blank data. So now you can see it shows quarter 3 and quarter 4 of 2020. I want to now go ahead and do the prediction here. What would be my predicted sales for these coming months? So I can use the built-in machine learning feature. Go back here and we will choose again a automatic forecast. So let me just see if we can add a forecast here. I think they've decommissioned that feature also, guys, permanently. We will not be able to do forecast here, automatic forecast for our data. Okay, this feature is been decommissioned. You can see the option is also gone. Earlier there was an option to also do a forecast. Let me just try. No, we don't have. We don't have. Okay, guys, so this feature has been discontinued. Maybe they have discontinued this feature very recently, but in the past it was possible to also apply a machine learning and do an automatic forecast on the planning model. You can see the screenshots here which I've taken in our spec document. We earlier had this feature. So we can select and we can add a automatic forecast. But now this feature has been discontinued by SAP. Yes, they've discontinued this feature. Let me just try adding account dimension and see somehow I can show you guys this or not. Not sure if I can show you this. No, we don't have this feature anymore. We don't have, guys. We don't have that feature anymore. Okay, so this feature has been discontinued. Maybe we cannot do that, but we will see the manual machine learning scenario at later point of time where we will learn about this feature. So this comes to the end of today's class. Let's summarize what we learned in today's session. So in today's session, we have learned about multiple different variety of topics. We started first with the what if scenario, where we looked at data entry, doing a cell locking and also performing the data entry. Then we talked about introducing a new product called ball cap. And then we first added it into the model, come back and show the unbooked data. And then we did the planning for the newly introduced product. Along with that, we've also added a conditional formatting for our filtered product. Then we learned about how to apply currency conversion in Analytics Cloud and how to see also the original currency data as a next column, the non-converted data for each entity. Then we saw concept of asymmetric report and cross calculation. This was the second use case of cross calculation where we saw the forecast Q2 2020 difference with actual Q2 2020 in a asymmetric report. Then we talked about the forecast report where we will have a cutover date. Till the cutover date, system will show the actuals data, and right after the cutover date, system will show the forecast data. This will help our business to get a direction on the forecast versus actual. SAP provided a new option to build a forecast report in a very similar manner with a direct builder panel option called forecast tab. So in this, we can directly add the forecast report. And finally, we saw the auto forecast option. So these are the basic options in the planning we saw. In the next class, we are going to continue our next scenario where we will look at advanced planning scenario, which will include some of the advanced filters features like adding formulas, adding cross calculations, adding allocations, we will talk about data actions, and many more features, including the concept of new model in SSC. So, any questions before we close today's episode?
Good morning, sir. This is Narayan here.
Yeah, Narayan.
Sir, yesterday, 2 days back, I could complete first sales dashboard for my company.
Mhm.
This is due to your guidance only, sir, and your teachings.
Thank
And I
you.
was appreciated for it quite a good.
Very
I
nice.
had created a sales dashboard with the targets and all the topics that you covered were quite useful for me to
Mhm.
create that dashboard.
Thank you.
I would have liked to show this, but I will show it tomorrow if you
Okay.
by sharing the
But
screen
make sure you
because I
pass the
want to remove
sensitive data of
the.
your company because this is
Yes, sir.
getting recorded.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah,
are
yeah. That's why I
comfortable to
want to
show, you
hide
can
some of the
show.
details and then show you.
Mhm.
Sir, I would like to hide some of the details and then make another copy of it without the other details, sensitive data, and then I will show it tomorrow if you want.
Okay. And you can also guide the class what were your learnings and challenges during this process.
Sure, sir. Tomorrow is Sunday, so like everyone will have some free time. So like 2 to 3 minutes would be sufficient for that.
Okay. So towards the class,
I
I'll give
just
you
wanted to
5 minutes
know two
to
things.
showcase.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to know two things. In my acquired data from Excel, I have 2 years, 2 fiscal years, that is 2021 and 2022.
Mhm.
In dynamic text, I wanted only 2022 to appear, but however, when I select the field fiscal year, it is bringing both the year 2021 and 2022.
Can you share your screen? We can discuss. Do you have it
So it
handy?
is just give me a second, sir.
Mhm. Any other questions? Nochongo, are you there in the class? Nochongo?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I am.
So when you messaged me on the LinkedIn, I was sleeping, and I hope
Oh,
you would have received the access for the videos.
I haven't checked the videos yet,
Okay.
so I'll check them after this class.
All right.
But while he's getting his information, I just had a quick question regarding the cross calculations.
Uh-huh.
I kind of got in the class after you had already started, so I was trying to understand what the cross calculations are used for. Is it mainly for planning?
It's mainly for not for planning, but in the planning it has more functions like, for example, currency conversion or building
Okay.
asymmetric reports or building forecast. So mainly it has major use cases in the planning only. But a cross calculation you can think of like whenever you deal with amounts and currencies and units, wherever we have a conversion happening, at that point of time we will use cross calculations. So in this case, the amount was getting converted to different currencies. So that is why we've used the cross calculation.
Oh, okay.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Hello,
Yes, Narayan.
sir. I'm ready now. Shall I
Yes,
share
you
my
can
screen?
share your screen and ask your doubt.
Sir, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see.
So this is the dashboard.
All right.
Okay, so here I wanted, this is a dynamic text 2021, 2022. I just want 2022 only.
Can you please right click and open the dynamic text editor? No, please right click.
Right click, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
On
Right click,
2021,
it says only
2022.
adding an dynamic text.
Yes. You have not added, I think, till now. Please add.
I've added, that is why it is showing this 2021 and 2022.
Okay, right click, open
Yeah.
add dynamic text. Yeah, add dynamic text.
Yes.
So you can put here current year 20, what you want to show?
Sir, current year only, current fiscal year.
Current fiscal year. So we should have
Yeah.
the system variables. You can come down on the left, story property dimension input control, come down on the left side. There has to be some
Yeah.
system variables by SSE, which but current year is 2022. It's gonna show 2022 to the
Yes,
user.
I want 2022 only.
Okay. Current user, current time, current date, last modified date, creator tag number. Can you choose current date? Yes. Why is showing 2022?
So here it is.
Yeah, date has come. So we should learn how to extract the year from that date actually. Wait, let me just check it. Is it possible or not? There is a system variable or not? I think it's not possible in the story. We have to basically go back and use designer. In the designer, it is possible because there I can add a calculation in a variable and I can show a variable to the user on the screen. Yes.
So can I add two fields, calculated fields in the model itself where I can say that
Yes,
current fiscal
that you
year
can
and
do.
current date
That you can do.
and then bring it over here?
Yes, that you can do.
And this is the very model, sir, that I had created for my office.
Okay. Hmm.
We can go to the view mode, full
Looks
screen.
beautiful. How did you added separators? You added borders, is it?
Yes, sir. These are borders.
You added borders. Okay.
And also, one thing I came to know about blending the model, which I would like to share with you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Sir, I have two models here. One is the current year and last year sale, and another is a target model.
Okay.
Okay. So I blended the model based on the date, on the domestic and export, that is the customer market, as
Okay.
well as the subdivisions. These are the division: natural marble, artificial marble, and all.
Mm,
Okay. Now, so when I use say like this model, when it sells in crores based on the market,
mm.
and if I blended the model based on three fields, then I have to select only that field which is applicable to this particular widget. Like I could show here, if we go to the designer, so not designer,
Go to the edit
for
mode.
example, yeah, edit mode, sir. Edit mode. And when I say here, when I click on this customer market and designer, and in the model, linked model, it will active link. So I have to select only that link, that field which is linked and which is required in this widget only. If I
Okay.
select all the three fields which are linked, then this will give the wrong data.
Understood. So basically you have a relationship between two models with, let's say, three fields. But for
Yes,
a
sir.
particular child, you want to give priority and respect to one of the field as a relationship. That is something
Yes,
which
sir.
you can choose in the active link dimensions.
In dimension. Yes, sir.
Okay,
So
understood.
for example, here I have this target for the last year.
In this case,
Okay.
you would have
So
chosen a
here I have
different
to
field for the relationship as
yes, sir.
active
So
link.
here I have to choose the another field for the relationship.
Relationship.
For
Okay.
example, here active link is there is no active link because the target is for sorry, so for this target achieved.
Okay. So just for that domestic wala chart, you want to compare
Yes, sir.
based on time. So you would have selected the
Time,
time as a active link.
right, sir. So it
Understood.
depends on which chart. Yeah, there may be multiple fields which we have used to link the two models,
Mhm.
but we can select for each chart based on which field we want to combine them.
Okay. Understood. Good observation. I didn't knew this. Okay. By the way,
And
guys,
these are
new
the
version of
filters
Analytics
on the
Cloud
basis
is
on
out
the
last night. It is called QRC. Let me just share with you. It was just an update last evening. and you guys can also go back and check. It's Q3 2022, and the all the new features which are out are also explained in this particular video. So you can check this video I've given in the chat window. You guys can go ahead and check to see the latest features of Q3 2022 in SAP Analytics Cloud. So this was released on 5th of August, 9 hours ago. So in this, all the product experts directly from SAP will demonstrate all the new features in SAC. So do not miss this update video. Every quarter they will just release 1 hour video where they will demonstrate all the features of Analytics Cloud which are newly coming in the system. All right, that's the end of today's
So do you
class.
conduct, excuse me, sir, so one last question. Do you conduct class on BW on HANA or BW for HANA?
BW for HANA, I am not doing it. Another person in my team is doing. We have the videos, training videos for the same. You can contact our team.
So I had contacted, they said you are not conducting at all. So they,
I am not
I
conducting,
wanted to
but
do that.
we have videos from another trainer.
Okay. And then I have to contact your team only for that also.
Yes, you can contact them, and I will ask them to provide you the details.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you and goodbye.